Hey, what's happening, everybody? Benchwarmers here with you, and the longest losing streak in the NFL is over. The Lions snap their 11-game slide going back to last year. They get the upset in the desert. They knock off the Cardinals 26-23 to pick up their first win of the year. And Dave Youngkin is right there. Ryan Slocum right here. And, dude, I am never going to apologize for a win. I am never going to apologize for a win on the road. But, dude, they tried to go Lions today. They did. They tried to give this thing away, and they didn't. And I would say maybe the Cardinals with a little bit of Lions juice. They helped them out, kind of handing that win today.
Yeah, if you were watching on a black and white TV, you wouldn't know which team was which. You would think the team that ended up winning was the Cardinals based on the way everything went. And nope. The Cardinals were the ones that were turning the ball over, making huge mistakes, making poor decisions at key moments of the game. And it was really great to see the Lions stick very close to a team that a lot of people expected to absolutely dominate the Lions, and they were able to stick around. I think the spread was -6, and most people were putting their money on the Cardinals with the Lions going the way they have all year.
Yeah, there weren't too many that didn't think Kyler Murray was going to hang it on the Lions today, and we'll talk about that a little bit. He did not at all. Many mistakes by him, but let's give credit where it is due. Keys to the game, my number one is Matthew Stafford, man. When it was time to perform, he performed. And that's why the Lions won this game, not only in the first half, but in the second half as well. First half, this dude's working the 2-minute offense, taking some sacks maybe he shouldn't have this year so far through 3 games. That happened a little bit today, but he didn't have a ton of time, man. Vaitai was an absolute disaster today. But that 2-minute drill right before the half, he goes 5 for 5, 75 yards. That touchdown to Kenny G, putting the ball only where Kenny G could catch it. The play before that, the swing out to Swift to pick up, I believe, 21 yards or whatever it was, pick up the first down. Stafford was on fire on that drive. Then at the end of the game, did the same thing. 10 plays, 70 yards. He leads them to his 35th game-winning drive. He was money when he needed to be money. And there you go. That's why they win this game today.
Yeah, it's funny. It's too bad Stafford can't pretend that the entire game is the last few minutes of a half.
We've been hearing that for years. Yeah, run the 2-minute all the time.
Right? And they could do that. And I'm surprised that they haven't, thought out of the box and said, let's come out in a hurry up. Let's run the 2-minute offense right away.
Key for you, Dave.
Key for me is the defense. I was very surprised with the Lions defense and creating 3 really bad turnovers by Kyler Murray. He's done a great job of protecting the ball, and he hasn't really put the team in a bad situation with turnovers, but that's exactly what happened today. I don't know if it was the Lions defense or Arizona possibly even overlooking the Lions, just thinking that they'll be able to run whatever they want. But the interceptions that he threw and the one that he almost threw were pretty bad. I mean, those were right to the defenders. And we got to finally see Jeff Okudah come to the big show, making his first interception on a great play covering DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, well, and he was getting dogged online the entire game. Then all of a sudden, he's the greatest player ever. He made a great play, diving to get that interception. Then he runs it back, gets a nice pickup on that. And then you mentioned it, the talk all week and a lot of talk with Patricia has been he's stubborn, playing man, and they lose Trufant, they lose Coleman. We don't know how many NFL backs they have back there, and they are still running man all the time. They mixed it up a little bit today. They ran some zone. That could have been the reason why Kyler was confused, because he should have had 4 picks, and the one was dropped by Duron Harmon. But, man, those were not good throws whatsoever. Kyler really gave this game to the Lions, and that's what we were talking about at the top of the show. They pretty much won this game for the Lions. And Dave, the key to that, man, run down some of those stats, because this game, outside of those 3 turnovers, you always hear, man, whoever wins that turnover battle. You always hear that coach speak, and it drives people like me crazy. Well, today, dude, was the exact reason why these guys say that. Listen to these stats side by side, Dave. Go ahead, and then we'll tell you what the difference was. It was the 3 turnovers to the big goose egg for the Lions. Go ahead.
It's very eerie looking at these stats. Starting at the top, you got first downs. Lions had 22, Cardinals 28. Total plays, 62 for the Lions, 63 for the Cardinals. Total yards, 322 for the Lions, 377 for the Cardinals. Now here comes the interesting part. Total drives, 10 for each team. They had the same amount of drives. And you go down to, the Cardinals had 30, 40 yards passing, 20 yards more rushing, but uh, the even the penalties, each team had 7 penalties, Lions for 46 yards, Cardinals for 48. And then you get down here to turnovers. Lions have 0 turnovers, which itself is pretty incredible.
Very un-Lions-like.
Exactly. You can't really remember too many times where they didn't have any turnovers. But Arizona had those 3 big turnovers.
Right.
And again, like you said, it's very un-Lion-esque to look at a rundown like that and have the big difference be turnovers on the Lions side.
And mistakes. At the one point, they brought in the backup QB. They were going to run it, go for it on 4th and 1. False start. Guess what? Now they have to kick the field goal. That takes possible points off the board. We don't know, obviously, if they would have converted that.
Well, even with that, they took a timeout.
Right.
They lined up to do that. They took a timeout, came out, then false started. So
Right.
They were already down a timeout in a very close game for, what are you going to – what's the backup quarterback going to do that Kyler Murray does? Like you keep your best player on the field. The best player, DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
But Kyler Murray,
right.
He's your leader. You don't take him off the field.
Well, and we saw even with his feet, we saw what he could do earlier. He broke Jeff in half there on that touchdown. But mistakes were huge for the Lions as well. With no turnovers, but man, there were some plays out there that you're just shaking your head. What the heck are you doing? Well, we mentioned Vaitai, not a good game for him. There were some holds in there, none bigger than the long pass, 51 yards, 53 yards to Hall down to the 1-yard line. And then that gets called back, and all of a sudden we're going, oh, great, here we go, Lions again, and then they marched for the game winner. But, a lot of mistakes for the Lions as well. But let's get back to some good stuff. You talked about the defense. Let's talk about the offense a little bit. Man, I like a lot of what I see. And they were working Adrian Peterson again at the beginning of the game. We have seen that 3 games in a row now where they are establishing that run early, and they're doing a good job. And another thing you and I both really like, first of all, Jesse James is alive. His money is not being wasted. What a game for him, and just the tight ends in general. I think this is what, Dave, we thought we were going to see, right, when they signed James and drafted Hawk last year.
Yeah, and it was funny because some people have been talking about this week about Jesse James and if he's even seen the field.
What are we paying him for? Where is he?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Obviously, I'm a Steelers fan. Jesse James being the former Steeler, I was very sad to see him go because his ability to block, first of all, and you can do some creative things with him in the passing game, especially in the red zone. And that's really what he did when he was with the Steelers. So it was pretty awesome to see them come out and, feed him the ball a little bit. And, he didn't disappoint by any means.
No.
And then you've got Hawkinson, who is he's showing signs of being the next, top 5 tight end in the league, with all of his athleticism. And the kid plays super smart and knows how to find those spots in the defense. So it was really great to see them use the tight ends, and having Galladay back just completely opened things up. Like, it's a totally different thing to be able to have that deep threat, that big target, be able to toss the ball up. It opens up so many things. And I definitely think that contributes to the success in the running game too.
Well, dude, and getting to Kenny G, man, first of all, the touchdown. Stafford throws in his spot that he knows his guy can get, and what an acrobatic catch on that. Stretching out a little behind him, doing it, and then he does it again at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. That third down, deep in their own territory, inside the 10. Stafford threw kind of a bad ball, but he got that sucker and brought it in, kept that drive alive. And dang, man, that was great. That was absolutely great. You're seeing how much of a difference maker he is. And like you said, opens things up for other guys. That opens up the home run hit for Hall later. That opens up Marvin, who caught a little bit there. He was kind of quiet today, but then when they needed him, boom, there he was. And that's because you got to focus on Kenny. He's one of the best in the game.
You speak of that third down play that he made. That I think that was a very huge key to the Lions being able to win this game. Yep. It kept that drive alive. They didn't end up scoring, but it enabled them to shift the field, and they ended up punting, pinned the Cardinals down at their own 2-yard line.
Yes,
and that ended up leading. Yeah, the 3 and out. Their first punt of the game, and that gave them the chance to tie it up.
Another thing is, you're not going to see it in the stat sheet because it's not an extraordinary number by any means, but they did get, going to the other side of the ball, they did get some pressure on Murray today. And, that has been non-existent. And that's one of the things we've seen under Matt Patricia. They have not gotten any pressure on QBs. They don't blitz a ton. They did get some today, and especially on the first pick. He got hit on the first pick, and that's why that one was intercepted. It makes so much freaking difference when you can rush that guy and you can put some pressure on him. And how about this? This is the first time that the Lions have ever had more than one interception in a game under Matt Patricia. What does that tell you? 3 of them today, should have been 4. First time that they have had a multi-interception game.
And when he was hired, if you would have said that then, you'd be like, yeah, whatever. It'll happen 3 games in the season. I mean, that's what he's known for. He's known for having that great defense. Mm-hmm. And it just hasn't been there. And you can't say that it's all been because of a lack of talent, because they've had some talented defenders on this team since he's been here.
Yep. Yeah, they have. And I'll give it to them. I mean, we saw it in week 1. That game completely changed when we mentioned before, Trufant and Coleman went out. The game changed. And all of a sudden, a dude who got benched today, actually, finally, Mitch Trubisky, looked like Joe Montana in that fourth quarter, scoring 3 touchdowns, going 8 of 10, when those guys aren't on the field. You're not getting pressure, and you're playing man. That's what happens. 2 dudes who are third-string guys who are out there. Dave, anything else? Anything that stood out to you? Maybe not play-by-play or anything like that, but anything stood out to you, good or bad, that you want to see going forward?
I really like the way that they're using Peterson in the beginning of the game. Having him carry with all the carries in the beginning, being the workhorse. And then they kind of transition into the second quarter into the second half using these other guys, mixing in Johnson and Swift. I really think that's a recipe for success. Get him while he's fresh, get him right in the middle of the game, get him going, and then, switch it over to these other guys. I am excited to see this offense going forward as a whole, especially with Galladay, and as long as he stays healthy. It's going to open up those tight ends. I think Swift is going to get more comfortable. We saw today he got drilled in the back by a pass, on a hot read from a blitz. That kind of stuff's going to happen, especially being a rookie. But I think the offense is definitely going to pick up, and this was the first week of this year that you got to really see what they can be.
Yeah, and we got to get the line better. I mean, that's got to happen. Early, again, great first series running the ball, slowed down a little bit after that. Peterson finishes with 22 carries, 75 yards. Only a 3.4 average, and he had that 27-yarder in there. So, you're looking at that, and it doesn't look great. But they set the stage early, so I don't know if these guys are getting worn out, adjustments, what's changing there. But, and we saw Stafford get hit a bunch of times, as we mentioned, 6 times in the game. They got to keep him clean, and they got to be able to run block that entire game. But you love the weapons, man. I mean, you're seeing what we thought at the beginning of the year. Stafford's going to have weapons, especially now that Kenny's there.
Right.
We're going into the Saints next week, Dave. They're playing right now. This was a game that we thought, and I want to get into this before we go, there weren't too many people that thought they were going to win this game. And then a healthy Saints, people didn't expect them to win that game next week. So people are, and this is not going to happen now. You could be 1-3, but people were thinking maybe 0-4, 5 weeks after that. Does Patricia make it through the bye week? I think he's probably going to be okay now, but didn't look too good today on NFL, on Fox pregame show. Terry Bradshaw called for everybody to be fired. He thought Patricia should be fired. He talked about how he's supposed to be a defensive guru, Mr. Defense, Mr. Patriot, blah, blah, blah. Same with Quinn, the GM. Obviously, that has not happened. And he called for everybody to be fired on a national stage today. And earlier this week, that has happened around here too. I'll give, for instance, here in a second. But, Dave, your thoughts on that? Any chance, and do you I think this bought him some time, but any chance next week if somehow they get butchered or anything like that, they go into a bye looking at a new coach and whatnot? I'm going to say no.
I'm going to agree with you. I don't really recall too many Lions coaches getting fired in the middle of the season. And I've never been a big fan of that. I know sometimes you want to shake things up, especially if you have a chance to salvage your season. But,
Right.
I mean, you're making big changes in the middle of the year.
Right.
I definitely think today bought him some time, especially since the defense stepped up. And I'm a little bit nervous about what's going to happen next week against the Saints. Since you mentioned getting thrashed, you're going to have Drew Brees, who is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. Does he look aged this year? Absolutely. His deep ball is not what it used to be, but that's not what he's about. And I think that's what the Lions are going to struggle with, is covering those short passes, Kamara being all over the field, Michael Thomas if he's healthy.
In healthy, we have not seen him really healthy. So what happens there?
Exactly. But to talk about another team real quickly, and speaking of coaches being fired, Dan Quinn has to be on that hot seat.
First? Which Quinn goes first? The one whose team he built blows leads all the time? Didn't today. Or the coach in Atlanta who seems to be fighting the Lions? Who can lose the biggest lead?
It's so funny. It's like looking in the mirror between those two teams. And obviously Atlanta has the biggest, most notable blown lead of all time against the Patriots. It'll be interesting to see with that first coach fired race, if it's going to be Quinn, if it's going to be Patricia. You got some other candidates out there too. So I have a feeling it's going to be one of those two. Mm-hmm. I would put my money on Dan Quinn, though.
I think he jumped to the front of the line today. I mean, a massive leap to the front of the line today. Earlier in the week, and people get Twitter fingers and whatnot. I thought that Patricia had his Bobby Williams Michigan State moment earlier in the week. If you don't know what that is, Bobby Williams was the coach at Michigan State. He gets hammered at Michigan like 49-3 or whatever it was. Everything was fault. They had guys getting suspended for drugs and things like that. They were just losing. They were terrible. Asked after the game if he lost his team. He said he didn't know. And they fired him for that. I thought Patricia had a similar moment today, earlier this week, when asked what he wants his team's identity to be. And I'm going to read you something, and it's probably going to take me 5 minutes to read this because it's just a bunch of gobbledygook. I tried to find the audio, couldn't find it. It's just a bunch of gibberish. He's like spitting every platitude and every cliche in the world he can throw at you. And it was just nonsense. So I'm going to read this to you. And to me, I'm like, how do you not have that's like some company and you're asking somebody for money or something. Hey, what's your mission statement? And you can't tell them. You know what I mean? Or like
Yeah.
even the Raiders, right? The Raiders suck, right? They have sucked for 20 years, but they are LA Raiders. What? Commitment to excellence. Just win, baby. Like, we know what they are. We don't know what the Lions are. So anyway, asked about his team identity, he says, great question. I mean, I think I love to talk this stuff. So I think the Raiders, what's great about that organization is I don't think the identity of that team's changed forever. I just said that. It doesn't matter who the coach is, what the situation is. I think that's always been the same. Pittsburgh. Well, he doesn't tell you what it is. He just tells you. Pittsburgh, obviously, I think they really built their identity in the 70s. But definitely through the decades, you've seen where Roethlisberger has come in. They've always played that style on defense, but a different element with him on the offensive side of the ball. Certainly throughout his career, that's been ever-changing too. That's great, dude. We asked you about your team. Now you've told us about the Raiders and Pittsburgh. That's fantastic. Now, I would say for us, the Detroit Lions, I think for us, we're just trying to make sure that we are a tough football team, and we have that defined by certain things we do during the game. We want to play at a high level. No crap. We want to be competitive. Really? Shocking. We want to be a smart football team, which is something we're still working on from that standpoint, and eliminating some of the bad stuff that happens some of the bad stuff that happens on the field. Really, for us right now, it's just being consistent and making sure we are not inconsistent in a lot of the things we do. Every team is different every year. Now in the NFL, that's true. There's changeover every year. And we've had a lot of changeover in the last couple of years. Now we're making excuses. And hopefully we have built a little bit of a foundation that we can build on these guys, and we can start to grow and develop as a team. Told you, take forever, and push forward and kind of cultivate all that we talk about. But hard working is probably my number one thing. I think that's important for our team. Just every single day coming in, working hard, get better, improve, keep that blue-collar mentality. I think that's really what resonates with me, and that's important. I mean, this area is hard-working, blue-collar. I mean, that's what it is. It's tough. There's a lot of things in this town that has overcome the adversity, have come through. Dude, okay. There's more here. We've just got to keep doing that, because at some point we'll all get to that. We'll break through, and whenever that happens, it's going to be pretty exciting. We've just got to get to that point. You could have just done the Detroit Pistons in the going to work days. Their identity was going to work. Ben Wallace, play the horn, whatever, defense. If that's what – man, Detroit's blue, we want it, boom. This is what we are. And if you're not there yet, you say, we're not there yet, but we will get there. This is what I want. We are going to kill people. We are going to bust our butts to make sure we hammer people out on that football field. We are going to be tough. Dude, this is freaking gobbledygook, man. Like, where's Mean Gene and the egg dancing around? What is this? That tells me that he doesn't know. We want to work hard, and we want to be tough, and we're going to be defined by things that happen during the game. We would like to be consistent. Is that how winning's done? I wasn't sure. I didn't know you had to work hard and then be consistent and be tough during game. Like, tell me something. You're not giving away secrets. It's not like you're telling us your first 20 scripted plays. Who the frick are you? Can you imagine going to a bank and asking for money, or going to an investor and asking for money, and going, hey, I need money to get this business started, to get this whatever. I need help with this. Oh, well, what am I giving my money to? Well, you know that Pittsburgh, obviously, they built their identity in the 70s. No, I don't care about that company. What is your company doing? Well, you know that the Raiders, you know, they've got an identity. Yeah, I don't care about that. Well, we're going to work hard. Bro, no, I'm not giving you my money. Unbelievable, man. You don't have one. This is your third year. You don't have the and again, if you have it, well, why don't you tell us? Like, why can't you tell us that? Is it dagger time? Is that what it is? Soapbox, I just stepped off of it. I'm sorry. I don't know, dude. Am I like way off base here?
Nope. You're
guy wearing the Steelers hat. Like,
No,
am I way off base here?
No, because you don't have to ask those teams what your motto is, what your narrative is.
Right.
We know. We see it. The teams live it.
Right.
What his response, I've heard better responses from Pee Wee coaches
right.
describing to the kids what they need to do.
Yes.
It was almost like he was talking to somebody who knows nothing about football, nothing about professional sports. And it was just such a dry, generic response.
Well, you're showing me that you don't have direction when you can't answer that question. And this isn't like, maybe you go, oh, it's a Belichick thing. He doesn't want to tell you. No, Belichick just would have said, run, play hard. And then he wouldn't have said 5 minutes worth of gibberish.
Incoherent babbling.
Did I get all the cliches? Is there another one I can put in here?
We're getting them coming and going.
Well done.
Yeah, it's funny. It's people that tend to talk too much and you don't get a lot of sense out of it are people who are insecure, don't know what's going on. Exactly. The more you talk, the less you know.
Right. You're trying to cover up for what you don't know.
And in doing it, you make yourself sound like a fool.
That said, not going to apologize for winning today, Davey. You know, I mean, they won. No one thought they would except for them, and they did it. So, any final takeaways? How about a couple other? I know you're sitting there with your Steelers shirt on. Big win for them today.
Yep.
Anything else around the league? We talked about Dan Quinn. He might not make it till tomorrow. Anything else around the league that stood out to you today?
Just speaking about the Steelers, being a huge Steelers fan, they started off extremely slow against the Texans and got behind a little bit and were able to get it together and rally back. So they're 3-0. And then speaking of comebacks, they're playing Tennessee next week, who's now 3-0 after coming back from being way down against the Vikings. So that's, I'm sure, will be one of the better matchups next week. But, man, the most exciting, riveting game this week had to be the Bengals and the Eagles. Man.
Nothing like a walk-off punt. Or whatever. I don't know. Is there a word for that? Is there a term? Or maybe there is now.
I have never seen a team play to tie a game.
Right.
And I feel so bad for Carson Wentz. I'm not a Wentz guy. I don't think he's going to have lot more chances to start. I think he's going to be replaced by Jalen Hurts at some point this year.
Who got in the game today?
And he was not happy with the coach's decision with 19 seconds left, the ball on about the 50, and they decided to punt instead of kicking either like a 64-yard field goal, go for the first down, throw a Hail Mary. No, we'll just punt and get the tie. That was very disappointing to see, and I don't know how any coach, especially one that just won a Super Bowl, would play that way when your team is not playing well this year. And that was just bad.
Davey, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be like a thing, I think. So, hey, Lions, great job. We were not expecting to come here happy. We were not expecting to come here with positive stuff to talk about. The Lions, 1-2. You're still sitting behind those Bears. Man, that's what kills you, though, when you look at week 1 and what should have been in week 1. You could be sitting at 2-1 right now. But
absolutely,
woulda, coulda, shoulda, man. That's the way it is. Nice to finally get a win. Good to get one on the road. Dave, we're going to do this again next week. Hopefully, maybe we have another one to talk about, and they go into the bye week. A surprising 2-2.
Absolutely, and it's funny to see that the Lions are not in the cellar of the NFC North anymore. That's going to belong to the 0-3 Vikings, and I know a lot of people are surprised at that. I think people thought that they were going to be at the top this year, and
right.
It's
when you look at their stats today, though, you look at their stats, you look at their receivers, the numbers Jefferson put up, you look at the numbers Cook put up, and then you're like, they lost that game. It's pretty crazy, man. But that's the NFL for you. All right,
absolutely,
brother. We'll do it again 1 week from tonight.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time. Hope you enjoyed it. If we suck, tell us. Leave it in the comments. I've been told that before. It's okay. Let us know what we can do better, what we can do worse, and then we'll try to do it next time, maybe, if we like it. Thanks, everybody. See you.
All right, see you guys.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.